And so we watch Selma tonight, not in isolation, but in very full recognition of the pertinence of its message. America in the 1960s was a vibrant, young, and powerful economy, much as Nigeria is today, the biggest economy in Africa and the third fastest growing in the world. And just as America was threatened during the period by internal division and the threat of violence, so also are we in Nigeria today. And as a country, we are at a tipping point to possibly tip towards the opportunity to be at the forefront of the African century, or perhaps to tip backwards to a future of violence riven by religious and tribal divides. The future we all want rests in a stable, peaceful democracy where people can cast their vote without the threat of bloodshed and reprisal. A mature country has its people cast their votes without fear of reprisal. A successful country allows freedom of speech, freedom of political association, and freedom from fear. Look at the countries around the globe that we admire the most. The best amongst them share the characteristic of the ballot box, the ability to select their leaders for their qualities, not on the looming threat of their henchmen. To me, in Nigeria, those democratic freedoms feel somewhat under threat. Our diversity in creed, ethnicity, and politics ought to enrich us, but they seem rather to threaten us. Our stability, our prosperity, and our very survival as a sovereign nation must be preserved. The real prize in our forthcoming elections is not victory for any party or candidate, but a victory that is followed by reinvigorated, respectful, courteous political debate, no matter who wins. The peace and stability of our dear nation, Nigeria, is more precious than who triumphs at the ballot box. In a truly vibrant democracy, a politician always has a second chance. If our elections descend into violence this time, who can honestly be sure that our nation will get a second opportunity? And so I throw down a challenge tonight to our nation, that if we rise to that challenge, then our future offers us much more than we ever thought possible. Our nation is blessed with indefatigable spirit and huge natural resources. We must not let these gifts be squandered through division and sectarianism. I challenge our justice system to rise to new heights of incorruptibility like we once had in the golden years of the Nigerian nation. The sword of justice should be the only weapon our country sees used, and it should be used fairly and seen to be so. I challenge our political class to rise above the squabbles and to debate with maturity for the greater good of our dear nation, so that our political rallies soar to the sound of rhetoric, so that our political rallies soar to the sound of rhetoric, not sink to the woes of running battles, and that our victors triumph in ideas, but not in violence. I challenge those in power, now and in the future, to institutionally distribute the dividends of our country's industry without favor or nepotism, so that we all enjoy roads, railways, uninterrupted power supply, healthcare, education, and the dignity of gainful employment. I challenge all Nigerians to cast aside their petty squabbles and adherences to fiefdoms and division, but instead to look towards what binds us together and not to what separates us. We must come together as communities to secure our nation's future. Otherwise, I dare say that our children and our grandchildren will not forgive us for missing so great an opportunity to bequeath to them a worthy nation. Dr. King Jr. rose to those challenges, and he challenged the right of any man to put himself above another man. He saw what we all held dear, not what tore us apart. And in that dream, he helped to write a better future for his great nation. Watching this film tonight, and indeed across Nigeria in the coming weeks, we will all be reminded of his message of peace, reconciliation, and understanding, so that we too can build a legacy that outlives us, and that lasting democracy will be peace, prosperity, and a stable country in which our children and grandchildren can grow up to be the next Barack Obamas, Winston Churchills, Martin Luther King Jr.'s. I salute my friends from the American mission in Nigeria, particularly His Excellency, the Ambassador, Mr. James Entwistle. Whilst I seize the last moments of my remarks to say that the United States of America remains exactly a nation that is prosperous, full of justice, peace, and great political stability. And they are truly united, having risen above divisions that can plague any country. My friends, fellow Nigerians, we can do exactly the same too. And so I hope this remarkable film and the brilliant performances within it will light that spark amongst us all as we take collective responsibility to build our great nation into what she ought to be. May we never forget the meaning of what we are about to watch tonight. Your Excellencies, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy the evening and the message and the movie. I'm delighted to host you here this Sunday evening.